Hello everyone, and all you citizens out there. This is Shows with the Arrowheads Game Community. Today we're going to talk about one of the more unique vessels in the Star Citizen universe, which is the Genesis Starliner, which is a starship that functions as a passenger airliner, jumbo jet 747, that kind of thing. And it offers a unique business prospect to many of you out there who want to use your time in Star Citizen for economics and profit and personal gain, and also gives you a few little unique mini games and things to play along the way, on top of already the kind of adventures you might come across in your journey through the verse. Now, of course, at the time of this video, Star Citizen is very much an alpha, or not even an alpha at the moment. So what exactly you'll be able to do may change. There may be more mechanics involved, or there may be less. There may be more detail, less detail, until we get like the final product in our hands. We just never know. So everything I'm going to talk about is things that was discussed in the actual fluff text of the sell page and the detail page on designing the ship, and a few bits of personal conjecture, but nothing that I'm not going to talk about anything that it doesn't explicitly talk about, specifically saying that it might be able to do. So this is no far-off theories that are just out of my ass. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about the Starliner, who makes it, and what exactly, you know, the design specifics about the customizability of it, and exactly, you know, what does it function as, and what you can do with it. Then from there we're going to go into the mechanics of how being a Starliner captain works, and all the little mechanics involved in getting passengers from point A to point B, and all the things that happen along the way. And from then we're going to talk about just the variants that are possible. While I don't know if any of them are ever be able to purchase, I do know that a few exist in the game, just maybe for lore reasons. I don't know if we ever get to fly them, but if we do, it'd be really cool. So without further ado, let's get this started. The Starliner, the Genesis Starliner, is made by a company called Crusader. Now, they're well known for transports, public transport type ship frames. Now, I'm not going to tell a multi-million-dollar corporation, even a fake one, how to run its business. But if you're going to name your company Crusader Industries and have your logo be a giant sword, maybe there are things that you would be better off designing and making than jumbo jets. I mean, that's just me. I'm not going to tell them how to run their hugely successful business. Well, you know what, multi-million-dollar company, you do you. You do you. It's a jumbo jet variant. The one that you can buy, or the one that was not the one you can buy, but the one that was on sale at the time, was a 40-passenger variant, and it also had a bunch of cargo room, because of course when you have passengers, you have luggage, you got to put it somewhere. And it's just a really nice looking vessel. It's kind of weird looking, mostly the bulbous areas, but that comes from one of the head design artists. I believe in one of the Q&As they did was the same guy who worked on the Banu Merchantman. So it's got a lot of bulbous areas. It looks really cool. It looks like way better than just a circle with some wings on it, like every other airplane does. It looks really cool, very dynamic. Little weird at first, but the longer you look at it, the more you get used to it. I really like it. It looks cool. The fans are in nice places, and the body style's nice. The little head that even balloons out to a bigger body, and the wings are really cool looking with the double design and the fans in them. It's just overall looking. The cargo's hatches in the back. You put your stuff in there. Passenger luggage, any cargo you're going to take on. Maybe if you're like didn't get any tickets and you want to try and make some money heading to somewhere where you will get tickets, so you take like a cargo job. You got a bunch of cargo room. You can just shove stuff in the back, and you can use that space for that profit. Now, as far as customizability goes, you can do all this stuff. You can put bigger fuel tanks on it. You can do all that good stuff. You know, make it go longer. The four big ones are the big ones are the fact that it has four classes of seats, and it's luxury, first, business, and coach in that descending order. According to the text, they said you probably want to specialize in like two, so maybe a business and coach if you want to get a different model with more than 40 seats, like you want to go up to like really big numbers. I don't know what the maximum number is that you can put in, but like if you could fit like 150 people in this thing, I don't know if you can, but if you could, then like you'd probably go like coach and business, and maybe like a tiny first class section. but mostly coaching business, just for raw dollars. You could fill out the space for like instead of the 40 guy we have when you get it, you could do like 20 or 30. But instead of being coach, you could just make it all first class or the entire thing luxury, so that maybe instead of maybe a luxury leather seat, they get like each of the 20 passengers gets like a little area to themselves, a little entertainment section, maybe a bigger chair, hell, maybe even a big bed, you know, kind of thing. Because I know that's a thing that happens on some of those really, really big flights. You can buy like instead of a seat, you get like a lay down bed that functions as a seat, and like things like that. And then you cater to your people. You assign the seats how you want them. You do your mix that you personally want, and that probably depends on where in space you're going. Like I said, if you're going to do a luxury class, then you're probably going to be sticking around Terra or Earth and funneling people back and forth to like luxury like resorts or whatever. Because I don't know about you, but no one's going to pay 7,000 credits for a luxury first class seat on a Starline Genesis, and they live in the like a podunk colony that's based on agriculture. Like, I don't think that's really going to happen. So you just suit it depending on where you are and the people you're going to have to cater to. Because if you're gonna, I mean, it's no good to go somewhere where you're not going to get business. So you need to understand your market as well as your product. Basic economics for anyone who wants to get into their own business. Now, the way that it all actually works, the mechanics and whatnot, is that you get a pilot's license. Exactly what the details of that haven't been released yet, or even, I don't know if they've even said anything about it yet, but you get a pilot's license. And from there, within the UEE, and maybe you have to get a separate license for Banu or Xi'an space, but you are recognized as a commercial pilot. And therefore, when you go to planets, you can plug into the commercial system. You plug into the tower, and it tells you how many people, not at the moment, it tells you like an hour ago or a day ago, how many people passed through the terminal, how many people bought tickets, where they were going and where they were looking to go, how many flights are current, and it also tells you how many flights are currently available in your area, and how many are selling tickets at the moment, and what those ticket prices are. And from there, you as the pilot have all the decisions in that you can choose where you want to go. You can choose how many tickets to sell, what type of tickets to sell. You as the pilot set the price for your own tickets. You set your own departure time, and you set your own arrival time. So please, if you're going to do this, maybe run a few test runs to see how long it takes you to get somewhere, and give yourself some leeway time. Because what happens is when tickets go on sale, people start buying them, and they'll start funneling in to your ship. It might be a trickle, it might be a flood. You can alter ticket prices and lower them in the middle to make it, make it more enticing, steal it away from competition. But hopefully you can, whatever you have to do, get you some passengers, because when you have to depart, you're departing. Unless there's some kind of mechanic as far as a delay within the tower, like maybe a mechanical problem or something. When it's time to go, I assume that that tower is going to kick you out. Or maybe if you stay too long, you'll have to pay some kind of fine. But, like, when you depart, like, that's it. You need to get out. And if your seats aren't all filled, I mean, too bad. That's when you said you were going to depart. So, when you land, make sure to give yourself enough time to let seats fill up. I mean, I wouldn't sit there for an hour. Because it all goes into like making your passengers happy, and there is a reason for making your passengers happy. I'll go into that at the very end after I explain all the other mechanics. But so you depart. Once your passengers are on the flight, they all get seated, and of course, being people, either NPCs or players, because you can actually cater to both. You could have a mix of the two, or just NPCs. Well, people aren't just nameless cargo. They're not just going to sit there. They're going to want to do things. They want entertainment. So, of course, you as a single pilot can do this all by yourself. Maybe like 10 or 20 people on there. You can do it all by yourself. Once you get up above 20 or so, you probably want to hire either an NPC flight attendant. The better flight attendant he is, the more he's going to cost. Or more importantly, maybe get your friends, which was probably the optimal solution. Get your friends to help you be flight attendants. It'd be a really cool experience, in my opinion. That's the one I look forward to at least trying at some point. And from there, it's their job to cater to the guest, serve food, serve drinks. There's actually a mixed drink machine where you can mix drinks to orders and get them there, and how long it takes them and the quality of the alcohol are all things that they need to take into account. If they get flooded with drinks and some guy doesn't doing his job, or he goes AFK and no one's getting their drinks, orders are going to backfill and people are going to get mad. If you're doing luxury or first class work, the quality of the alcohol that goes into the machine does determine the quality of the alcohol itself. So if you load it up with stuff you can buy from the tower while you're docked, if these people pay $7 or $8 a ticket with your luxury cruise line or whatever you want to run, then they're going to be pissed. You can't serve diplomats and stuff regular old moonshine. I mean, you gotta go and get the King Louis straight out of New York. You gotta go get bourbon from the moon of Titan. There's a really far off moon, and 100,000 light years away in Banu territory, 17 jumps. A couple of them are through pirate territory, but they've got the best goddamn wine you've ever tasted, and man, you want it for your luxury super flight of people who pay enormous amounts of money to fly on your ship. So that's, or you can go and get them, or you can pay people to go get them for you, and that adds a little more to private entrepreneurship, private jobs, or just the adventure itself of being a Starliner pilot. As the captain, they are your responsibility. All these people are your responsibility, and you got to cater to them. The very minimum is food, water, a little bit of entertainment, and getting them where they need to go on time, and protecting them should you get boarded or attacked. It is your job to not only evade with minimal amounts of damage or repel boarders. It is also your job that no matter what happens, you still, as best you can, get to where you said you would be when you said you would get there as quickly as possible. Because again, this all goes into what people think of you as a star captain, which does influence your mechanics in being a star captain later on. And again, after I get done, we'll go into more about that. Besides the drink machine, there's the entertainment module. Every one of your passengers has a little holo projector above their seats where they can play games, connect to space internet, whatever the hell the space internet is called, watch movies, stuff like that. And those machines constantly break or need repair, so your guys who are working in the back need to repair those, be on the ball. Some radiation from suns or stars or explosions or high traffic areas with lots of radio frequencies will disrupt these images, so your guys have got to go in and fine-tune these machines and change frequencies so that they get a clear signal, make people happy. And another big thing, which is a huge thing in real life in airlines, is infection and the spread of a disease. If any of you remember back in the early 2000s or the mid 2000s, there was that MERS virus thing that happened where I think it was people from the Middle East had the MERS virus, and it was spreading via planes, and it was like, it's nuts. If you ever look at like the CDC and stuff, transmission of diseases across planes is a huge thing that is really bad, because you got a bunch of people all crowded together in a little tiny spot for a long time, and it's just a breeding ground of disease and infection, especially airborne. And so it is your job, not only as the pilot, but the people who are your flight attendants, to watch out for your passengers. Watch your passengers. You know, if they're coughing or wheezing or they're lightheaded or stuff, just keep an eye on them. Make sure, you know, there's a database that should be on there's a database computer where you can plug in symptoms and you can get possibilities of different diseases it could be. And it is and then depending on how far you let the diseases progress and symptoms show, depends, you know, what kind of medication do they need to get. Well, let's give them this kind. Well, all they've got is a headache, but it might be this thing. So we'll give them this medication. Maybe it's the flu. Well, we gave them the flu medication, and now they're sick because it was just like a migraine or something, and now they're pissed. You don't want to do that. Or, God forbid, they have like a problem with the medicine and they start having a heart attack. And then everyone on the plane gets freaked out, because on top of the legitimate chance that a contagion might spread to other passengers, legitimately, this is something that was explained in the description text of the mechanics of this. If you go to the store page, it's there. Not only is it actually designed so that there is a possibility of contagion spreading airborne through your passengers and them all getting sick and then transferring contagion out, even if it's just something like they had an allergic reaction and they start freaking out, people on the flight will start freaking out and start being afraid. And then you got to calm them down. You got to get your medical staff over there and try and revive people or help them or cure them. It can be a mess. But again, it all ties into the theme of, you know, being an airline pilot. These are things that actually happen, and these are things that you might have to actually deal with. The medical field is a huge kind of territory for profit and gameplay all in itself in Star Citizen at the moment. That's what they're trying to do. But whether or not we'll see comes out. But it's all very interesting, and it all sounds very fun. But why does it matter? Like, why do you care? Why do you have to watch for infections? Why do you have to replace the tapes? Like I was talking about the Holo Viewer, they got movies. Everyone loves the classics, but they're not watched all that much. And everyone loves modern movies that just come out. However, they have popularity ratings, and modern movies lose their popularity very quickly, but they attract more of an audience. So when you're in port, you have to change out the movies that you're able to show on your flight so that people don't get bored, because they get tired of seeing the same thing over and again. It's just these thousands of little things, like resupplying at ports or getting your special alcohol or, you know, catering to special guests, you know, all these little things. Like, it's 1,000 little things. You always got to be on the move. At least that's the idea for this ship, and the idea of being a star captain, a passenger captain. But why does it matter? Why does it even matter? Well, you get a rating. Once everyone gets off the flight at their destination, provided you haven't actually kicked them off somewhere else, which will piss them off immensely, they will rate you. Kind of like Yelp or whatever, but they'll rate you, and you will start getting a reputation. The better you do, the more your reputation goes up. And then all of a sudden, if you're like even if you're just a coach and business captain who puts like 100 people on his flight, you know, you have basic alcohol, you always keep your movies updated, but you always get people where they need to go. And you do lots of really good long distance flights or whatever, or, you know, between big economy places. Even if it's just a basic thing like that, where you're just a basic cattle pilot, you know, just shove people in there. If you get people where they're going, you keep them safe, you avoid attacks, you get out with little damage, you repel the borders and keep everyone safe, then your reputation goes up. At that point, then you can land and start charging more for your tickets, because people will pay more because you have a good reputation behind you. If you get a shitty reputation, then you have to go down even less. You have to charge even less for your tickets, because God knows no one will pay for you, even if you are just a decent pilot. But if you are a good pilot and you keep your shit together, you can charge more for your tickets. And this is probably really important, I would think, in first class and luxury the most, because the better of our pilot, the more exotic alcohols you can get, the more exotic movies you can get, the more luxurious you can make the inside of that space, the more money you can charge for that ticket, up from like maybe like $7 or $8 grand a ticket to maybe like $9. If you get it really high up there, maybe you could get away with, again, this is all just conjecture on my part, I don't know how much a ticket's going to cost or what, but like maybe it's like, yeah, I can charge 15 grand a person to come ride on my Genesis that I've decked out with like leather from the Banu homeworlds and Xi'an liquors and wood carvings taken from crashed Vanduul fighters and the rarest alcohol in the verse and just the rarest foodstuffs with these rare plants, like stuff like that, like crazy stuff. It provides a whole new level of, like, a whole new type of gameplay, a whole new different mindset of gameplay, where you're providing a service instead of engaging in just combat or base mercantile, like item mercantile, which we've seen in thousands of games before. You're providing a service. And so even if it's the NPC characters, with player characters, maybe even cooler and way better. But as far as like the amount of variety you can get in a flight, but like attending to people with different tastes and stuff may be very important. And it's a lot of good sounding, unique gameplay. My only conjecture at the moment, my only little bit of problem is that maybe if you do it, because again, if you're a professional Starliner pilot, as soon as you touch down, you start gearing up for your next flight and you get ready to go. My only thing is that even though it sounds like there's a lot to do, there needs to be lots of variations on the types of problems you can encounter, the types of drinks you have to make, the types of in-flight problems with guests, the types of medical problems, because otherwise, even if it's a very large list, if you do it constantly for hours, eventually things might get a little boring, or you might want to do something else. As far as interacting with other players, having players be passengers sounds like fun. The idea of getting attacked in one of these things or attacking one, boarding one, pirate raids or vandal raids, the idea of attacking a luxury, like the idea of like being a pirate and seeing that this guy who has all these luxury people, like you're just in the terminal, right, whatever, and you see that there's this guy lands and he's a luxury Genesis pilot and he's got all this cool stuff and there's always people with money on his flight. Cool. Guess what? I'm going to attack that guy. I'm going to get in my cutlasses and we're going to board him, and then we're going to board him, and then me and his crew are going to have some knockout, drag out fights, some pistols and firefights, because I want to rob him and take his stuff, maybe rob some people, maybe you can get money from them some way. But then, of course, as someone who's if you transport rich people around a lot, you have to be ready for security concerns. So more than likely, you've got a staff of guys who got weapons and shotguns. So then you basically encounter an area where you're having a terrorist versus security guard fight with guys in tuxes on this decked out luxury cruiser with grenades and pistols and stuff. It's a breeding ground for possibilities. Will a lot of them happen? A lot of times, no. In MMOs, we all know that like all this cool crazy thing happened, but it's an MMO, so the math works against you a lot of times as far as how often players or things like this happen. But the idea that it could happen, the idea that could even be a thing, is a really awesome one. There are lots of different variations you could do as well. Like, I don't know if we'll even get to play any of them, but I know that for a fact, due to the fluff text on the page, the UEE, the United Earth Empire, uses these things as troop transports. So maybe there's a possibility, maybe later on in the game's life, maybe you can get maybe there's an idea that they could do where you could get contract work and work for the UEE transporting troops. So you're a Starliner pilot, and they put armor and stuff on you with some fuel tanks. They load you up with guys with guns, strip out all the seats, make it look like the inside of a C-130, and they load guys up, and you have to fly troops through combat zones, or you have to fly troops through combat zones into invading areas, or there's the possibility, I even thought about this, like boarding mechanics are a thing. Like, you could go balls to the wall nuts, load up one of these things with guys with guns, and just do, it may not end well, but just sell this baby straight into like a hangar of a carrier class vessel of any of the one of the big ass hangars on any of the big carrier class vessels. Just fly this thing full of guys with guns and just use it as a pirate raiding vessel. Or if you got lots of guys with guns and you want to do stuff on the ground, raid small settlements, just have this thing just burst into like a station on a backwater world or whatever, and now you've got like 100 guys on the ground all armed to the teeth with one ship, and a couple escorts. It's got a lot of uses. Also, if you could do this, it'd be cool, but apparently Murray Cup racers, professional racers, convert these things, make the cargo hatch in the back bigger, will put their small M50s in it, and then the front of the vessel, it'll be their tour bus. They'll put the M50 in the back, and then it'll be for the crew, and that'll be the Murray Cup tour bus, which sounds awesome. The idea that you as a professional, maybe you like racing, and you're doing really good on your Murray Cup on your server. If you got a lot of money, and you could buy your own Genesis Starliner to be your personal tour bus for the Murray Cup circuit, that'd be cool. Like, it probably wouldn't be something that they would release when the game comes out initially, but overall in the lifespan of the game, when tons of other stuff can be added, that'd be a cool feature. Or even being able to contract yourself out as during Murray Cup season specifically. Like, Murray Cup season comes around, you stop transporting people and you sign yourself off to transport around some Murray Cup racer as his personal bus pilot. That'd be a cool little thing. There's all kinds of things that can happen with it. It's just a very unique ship, a very nice looking ship, and there's a lot of unique gameplay elements that you probably won't see much anywhere else. And even your other bigger ships, like your big warships, you won't see a lot of this stuff happening. And it's really cool. Like, it's just really cool to me. Like, there's a whole lot of little things that need to be done, a lot of small details. Again, in my head, this is one of those things where a huge addition of small details will be way more appreciated than a few big changes to gameplay. It's like a lot of small details like quality alcohol and the types of alcohol and all this other stuff. But it just sounds amazing. It sounds like a really cool idea, and it sounds like something like, you maybe, I'm just bored one day. I want to go sign up. Like, can I do contract work as a flight attendant for some player who does really well? Like, dude, you pay me this much, I'll be your flight attendant for like 3 hours or 4 hours, however long you're going to be on, stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of cool gameplay mechanics that come out of this. I'm actually looking really forward to it. I don't have one. I don't really plan on getting one. But if these things turn out to have a really dedicated sub-community or lots of cool stories start surrounding them, I will definitely start thinking more about taking public transportation of the Genesis class over flying myself anywhere if I'm just going on a little cargo run that I can store in the back and check in. It just sounds cool, and it's a whole little part of the verse that maybe we'll get to explore. I've been Shows with the Arrowheads Gaming Community. You guys, fly safe, everybody. Fly safe. And always make sure to buckle up when the little light's on.